SEO Autopilot, a backlink software or a backlink generation software that allow you to create links to your website if it's your own project or to client website, and this will save you an absolute ton of time. Now, a bit like if you get a gift like at Christmas or a birthday and then you find out you can't use it because you need batteries. Now, SEO Autopilot's a bit like that. So before you can actually start using it, you're going to need other elements to make the software work. So I'm going to launch SEO Autopilot and actually walk you through the elements you need to put in place so then you can actually start creating campaigns. So let's flick to the main screen. The software isn't actually on my physical machine. The reason for that is, and I'm going to remote connect into it, the reason for that is it's trying to emulate a human behavior. So it's virtually opening browser sessions and stuff like that, copying stuff to clipboards, and it would be forever trying to control your mouse and stuff like that. So you definitely don't want the software on your current machine. Now, I did cover in the video, there's a couple of ways of getting around it. You can create a virtual machine on your main machine and install it in there. Or you can have a separate machine. I initially run it on a laptop and remote into there, or you can get a cloud version of a machine. But I've covered all that in a previous video and I'll leave you links to that. Walking through the software, so across from the top, so we've got accounts profiles. So those are the two elements. So I'm going to cover accounts first. So if we go to accounts, that's where these are going to be your web 2s. These are going to be your, if it's your personal blog, if you've got a personal blog network, it's going to be the Medium accounts. All the external sites, they're all going to be under the accounts, and that's where all of this that's going to be managed there. You don't have to worry about anything. This is all going to be, because you can create campaigns that either use preset profiles or preset accounts. So once you've created the stuff, you can reuse them. So that's all managed under accounts. So if I'll close that, there's nothing here at the moment because this was previously installed on a laptop. I've moved it and I need to port the information over. So I haven't done it yet. That'll allow me to walk through each of the areas of the website without needing to blur things out, because obviously I don't want you to see my API keys and stuff like that. So the profiles, I've got notes. I'm going to work through notes. So the profiles are basically email accounts. Basically recommends using a Gmail. I have used catch-all accounts. So that's where you can, create anything at whatever domain name. But Gmails, you can also, one Gmail, there's ways where that one Gmail can be any number of email addresses from that one account as well. So, and that's where your profiles is in effect the bucket of email, and each campaign will either use a different set of accounts or a different set of profiles. Again, I'll walk you through that in another video, how to set a campaign, but this is just to get you going, or at least know what bits you need before you can actually start playing with it. So the next things is settings. So this is where most of the stuff is going to be managed. So if I move that across and zoom into that, so we have, again, personal choice. You can turn on and off things. So I've just left everything selected. I'm also showing the DA of the site. So when you start creating campaigns, you can actually see the domain name authority of the sites you're actually using. Depending to your machine, you wouldn't want to go overly aggressive on that. So this is retries. I generally would knock this down to, I have got this, I did have it when I on the laptop as one retry. So what we got here, setting browser retries below 4 may result in lower 6. So, okay, if they say 4, maybe I'll stick to that then. But I had knocked this down. So that's something worth looking at. So we've got delays. I'm going to put this as an odd number. So just so nothing would be perfect. If a human was doing it, it wouldn't be 60 seconds. It might be 52 seconds or 63 seconds. So I'm just going to put an odd number here. The rest we'll just leave this as is. Proxies. So this is where we're going to now need to go shopping. So if I bring this in. So there's different places. I'll leave link to all these assets and resources below. So we're going to need third-party proxies. So you're not going to use your own IP address. You'll spend about 10 minutes using it, and then you'll get banned from all the other websites. So now you're going to need proxies, and there's various locations. I've used this one. The company recommends this one. I've used it for about 2 years, not a problem. So again, I'll leave links to that. You basically want, you don't want residential on for this particular software. I've got residentials for other aspects, but you just want to sign up, get yourself about 25 proxies. They will go in here. So you'll put the proxy number and your details, depending where you're getting them from. They'll be formatted in different ways. Once I've set up a campaign or doing a campaign, I'll actually show you this screen again, but I'll blur out the information. So you're definitely going to need proxies. Again, I'll leave links to that in the bottom. Then there's going to be third-party APIs. Now, you're probably familiar when you sign up with websites, it's, you know, please confirm that you're human. Then it brings up those weird and wonderful characters and stuff like that. So there's two ways, or there's a couple of ways of doing that. There's Xevil, which it gives you the option at the bottom, which is there. So you can put your details in there, and different third-party recapture code breakers. Basically, this is one. I've got an account here. I can't, if I log in, it'll literally show, the first thing it does is show you my API key. So you'll need a subscription for that. The credit lasts for you just buy a set of credits, and they'll last you, depending on how much work you do, they are reasonably priced. And obviously, it's replicating what a human would do. So it's going to recode, sorting that code out. Please click or please select the 3 chimneys in this photo and all that kind of stuff. So that's what this is doing. The other thing, we've got a spinner. I'll actually walk through that. So there's different ways of spinning that. So they've got a few here. I've got accounts with 2 of these. Now, what I tend not to do is put I put the API key in there, but I generally don't use this to spin the software. I do use the tools, but I pre-spin it before I put the content in. I'll show you that in the other video. But what is a spinner? So if I bring Notepad up, let's bring Notepad up. If I do curly brackets, and then word 1, and then it's normally a pipe, and then word 2, and then a pipe, and word, spell it right, word 3. So the way the spinner works is every time it generates, it'll either display word 1, word 2, or word 3. Now that might not look that impressive, but if you imagine that over a whole article, that means that whole article's got a chance of being totally unique on each platform. So if I bring Spinner Chief up, because that does it's quite visual how I can use that. So if I copy this in, drop the text in, space, and then I want that to be spin a new article. Now let's do this let's show it as spin text. So I'll show you what spin text looks like using these. If we head back to the screen, I've sorted out so you can actually see the spinning in action. So let's go back to the screen. So you'll see here we've got, so when speaking, talking in a live stream. Now there's other words we can add. So when speaking, when communicating, we could have, if we wanted to, when chatting, so we'll add communicating. When speaking, talking, communicating, so it's going to interchange those 3 words in a live stream webinar. So yeah, stream. If it wasn't smart, it would then obviously try to substitute the word stream with flow or that. So that wouldn't make sense. But sometimes some of the spinners are not smart and will actually replace the words. As they were saying, there was one the other day I was doing, so I wanted chocolate fountain and it spun it to cocoa fountain, which didn't meet what I needed. So while talking in a live stream webinar or online meeting, you may be worried, you might be worried. We can interchange might and may. So you may be worried, concerned. So you might be concerned. We can interchange worried and concerned. Anxious, yes, we could interchange that word. Bothered, about remembering, but you might be anxious, bothered about, nervous about remembering. So what it's going to do is then interchange those words. So then if I come here, preview new article. So when talking a live stream webinar, you may be nervous about, let's see if it'll allow me to spin here. Yeah, so every time I do this, you'll see I'm getting a new spin. So the idea, now back in the day, and people still do that, and that's why the internet is generally full of crap. We'd take an article, put it through an automatic thing, and then spin it. You can still do that. You can do that with Autopilot. The only problem you're going to find with doing it that way is potentially you run the risk of it just being gibberish. So where it said like some of the words where we've got live stream, so this is obviously live streaming. If it was coming up with live flow, it wouldn't make sense, but it obviously flow is a word to do with stream, but we're talking water, not digital live streaming. So if I go to spin rewriter, which is another one, so if I go in there again, I'll leave links to these tools. So if I take that same article there, again, this is just a small one. You can imagine if there's a whole article. I'll paste that there, do a rewrite. Again, you can lock words down. So if you don't want certain, I should have locked things like live stream and all that kind of stuff. So you can actually, stop those words from being spun. So it'll just do that. Now you can do this, as I say, using your API. You can put that in and then it would do it, but you wouldn't get to see what the possible end result would be, which could, in that case, you could end up with having some gibberish. While that's happening, if you are finding this video helpful, do give us a thumbs up and a like. Don't forget, if you want more videos on this, particularly SEO and all that kind of stuff, do tap to subscribe so you don't miss out on those forthcoming videos. So that's working its way through. So there we are. So you might be concerned, worried. So this is how it presents it. So we've got other ones, bothered, troubled, and that's a reason you might be troubled. Yeah, you could have that if you wanted to. You might be troubled, worried, concerned, troubled, regarding, concerning, remembering, bearing in mind, but now that wouldn't. Recalling might be about concerned about recalling what you're meant to imply, indicate. So recalling, yeah, we can interchange remembering and recalling. Recollecting, yeah, we could interchange that. So if you go manually, as I said, just a quick sense check, and now once we'll say that, I just want to check live if it's meant that online, on an internet meeting, conference, webinar, live stream. Yeah, so it's left live stream. Yeah, so that's the benefit of going for the better ones rather than the cheap. You can, as I say, do it free online, but in some cases you'll end up with absolute gibberish. So let's finalize that, and basically once that's done, give that a second. It goes confidently. Yeah. So that's the stuff you would copy in between here. That's the stuff you would copy and paste and drop into your article when we progress through the software. But this way, you know that you're going to end up with some relatively reasonable to high quality content rather than gibberish. So as I say, you can put the API key and let it spin itself, but then you've got no control over what's going to happen. They do a fairly good job, but I like to do it manually and then drop in the content. It gives you a sense check. So content. Now, again, there's Article Forge out there for just auto-generating content. I did have an Article Forge account. I no longer use Article. I've generally found that a lot of the stuff was just gibberish. Maybe one or two paragraphs of reasonable stuff and then just absolute gibberish. So tools I tend to use on that for creating content. On the SEO aspects of getting keywords and stuff like that, I might use NeuroWriter or ZenWriter to get keywords and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily looking for this content I'm placing on SEO Autopilot to rank high. Obviously, I'm after relevance. And I generally create the content. A new tool I've been using last couple of months, really great, ZenWriter. So again, I'll leave your tools to that. You can put the keywords and all that kind of stuff, and it'll create the content. So I would create my content using those tools rather than Article Forge. But again, so then you've got indexes. So we have Omega Indexer. I've got an account with Omega Indexer and the crawler. Now, one thing, so yeah, you're definitely in accounts with that. Omega Indexer and Kolinki is, one's an indexer and the other one's a crawler. What I tend to do on a new site, in fairness, again, you can put your API. I tend to do this manually. So once it's finished, it's going to give you a report, which you'll get once on this tab, of all the links it's built here. And I tend to submit them myself on a brand new website. I don't want all these links to be found immediately, so I might do one or two and that's it, and let the thing, or let the internet find these links itself. It will stop you being overly aggressive, but initially the first month or so I'll tend to use this tool just to build some backlinks on there for the clean naked URLs or brand URLs and the addresses. I just want the internet to find this business and their address and their contact number for them to be known. At the moment, I'm not going heavily on anchor text and stuff like that. But then if you've site's aged and that, and you want to get all these links indexed immediately, so then you're going to want Omega Indexer, or you can use the crawler. So that's going to be it tool wise. The title generator, I'll cover this when we do the next video, but I tend not to stick with the out of the box title generator. So I have done, depending which projects our campaigns are doing, I've actually created my own set of titles, because I don't want my titles to be, obviously it replaces the keywords or the phrases you're after. It replaces these, but I have gone to the trouble of replacing this entire title set with other words, and you can do that, and I'll show you that in the next video. So those are the tools you're going to need. The last few screens we've got is reports and the diagrams. The wizard you can't actually see until you've put the information in. As I said, the software won't let you make mistakes. So if we go back to the screen again, so we've got reports. If I close out of this, reports, you can actually customize the reports, so you can add your own branding colors and stuff like that. Change the details. So the idea is that once the task is done, if you're doing this as a service, you can generate a report, send it to your customer, or if not, if it's just for yourself, you want that list of URLs. So then, and again, you can do it as a spreadsheet. So then you can actually submit them if you want to. Again, if you've put the API link in there, it will actually do everything automatically for you as well. So that reports, the diagram. Yeah, this is where you can go through and create your own diagrams and stuff like that. And what I would, so if you imagine if you want, that's say Web 2, and then you want this one go into this one, so you can create your own unique diagrams. I'll cover that in a future video. And then once that's done, there's the campaign wizard. Obviously I can't do anything because all the elements haven't been put in, so it won't allow me to go to the campaign wizard. So I need to put the codes in and the API keys and all that kind of stuff. But once all that's done, then you can select the campaign wizard, and I'll cover that in the next video. So I'll see you in the next video.